Good evening and welcome. Agenda for combined meeting 5 p.m. April 5th, 2023. Roll call, please.
Ms. Acosta? Ms. Fabry?
Here.
Mr. Fiocchi?
Here.
Mr. Holmes?
Here.
Mr. Rivera? Here. Mr. Sabrana?
Present.
Mr. Silva?
Here.
Mrs. Scottispati?
Present.
Ms. Spinelli?
Here. In compliance to the New Jersey Open Public Meeting Law, commonly referred to as the Sunshine Law, the Vineland Board of Education has caused notice and posting of this meeting to be sent to the following, announcing time, place, agenda, etc. The Daily Journal, S&J Today, the Press of Atlantic City, Nuestra Comunidad, Visto Bueno, and the Clerk for the City of Vineland, and the Administrative Office Public Bulletin. At this time, we would like to welcome our memorial students to come forward for the flag salute. Ready?
One nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
If you guys could stay up front, Miss Fabry is coming down with some certificates for you. Great job, and thank you again for coming. Mr. Rell, do we have a resolution for executive session?
We do. Now therefore be it resolved that the Board of Education of the City of Vineland School District will convene into an executive session for the following reasons as outlined in NJSA 10:4-12. Discussion includes pending litigation matters and any matters falling within the attorney-client privilege to the extent that the confidentiality is required in order for the attorney to exercise his ethical duties as a lawyer.
Do I have a motion?
So moved. Second.
Roll call, please.
Ms. Fabry?
Yes.
Mr. Fiocchi?
Yes.
Mr. Holmes?
Yes.
Mr. Rivera?
Yes.
Mr. Sabrana?
Yes.
Mr. Silva?
Yes.
Mrs. Scottispati?
Yes.
Ms. Spinelli?
Yes.
Motion carried.
So our executive session will be broke down into two parts tonight. So we're going to leave for a couple minutes, and then we'll be back, and then we're going to do executive session at our end of our meeting this evening. Thank you for your patience. Moving along to special presentations. Mr. Yano, what are our special presentations this evening?
We have some very long presentations coming up. No, I'm kidding. Just making a joke, inside joke. We have 4 special presentations. We're going to begin with a few down at the podium. The last 2 will need the PowerPoint set up, so I will go over to the podium. Give me 1 minute. I'm not sure who did that joke and locked the door on me. I couldn't get into the room.
Should I set the timer?
No timer needed. This will take about 45 minutes, but no, I'm kidding. We have some special guests with us this evening. I would like to call Michaela, Karina, and Henley to come up here to the podium with me. Yeah, right over here would be perfect. We had a wonderful event recently that was sponsored by our county executive team, where we had students from all across Cumberland County representing their middle schools. We had 5 students who were there. Josephina from Johnstone, she's not here today. Michaela representing Memorial. We had Karina from Pillis School, and we also had Henley from Wallace. And this group of students was involved in a series of discussions and questions around, what it is to be a middle school student. What are you nervous about? What are you scared about? What do you think is great? Just some really cool questions. They did an amazing job representing our school district with their answers. They really, really were exceptional. And what was powerful was that their families were there in support. We had a board member, Ms. Caraspati, was with us in attendance. There you are. And we also had our administrative teams. It was amazing to see Vineland Public Schools well represented with our teams, our parents, and our students. So I just wanted to take a minute this evening to congratulate this group of young ladies who came out this evening to represent us. We know they're going to do amazing work as they move into their high school years. So let's give a big round of applause to our group of representatives. As Ms. Caraspati is handing out the certificates, we are going to have a special event at each of our middle schools coming up, where we're going to work with our student government groups and these group of young ladies and gentlemen. We had one young man who worked with us that night. They will be representing those schools, having a very nice conversation at our middle school. So let me jump in for a quick picture. Get used to those names, because I think you're going to see them in future years representing our district in a variety of ways. And I look forward to our student work that we're going to be doing with them at the end of the year. That was, thank you, Ms. Caraspati, as well. All right. Mr. Rivera is going to help us on this next one, I believe. Ms. Rodolfo, please come on up. The floor is yours.
Hello, everybody. My name is Dina Rodolfo. I'm Supervisor of Guidance for the school district. I am going to be talking about restorative practices. We are implementing restorative practices this year and rolling it into next year. I'll give you a little background on what it is and then what we're going to be doing next. So restorative practices are different strategies that we'll be using to build community and relationships in our school. The goal of restorative practices is to manage conflict, focus on repairing the harm and restoring the relationships. It will ensure that all the parties involved are heard. It will also get their input on how to restore that harm. If somebody's been harmed, how are we gonna fix it? And it will also hold people accountable for their behavior. It will be a total culture change for the schools. We have trained 50 people so far. We trained some last summer, and we also trained 19 of our people that were trained to become trainers for the district. So they went through a 5-day training, so now our plan is to roll it out and train all of our middle school staff and all of our high school staff this upcoming year, and so that they will be utilizing these skills in the school when dealing with discipline or just dealing with regular everyday issues that they come across. And then eventually, hopefully the year after, roll it out to the elementary school now that we have our own trainers. So I have some of our trainers here. Do you want me to? Okay, sure. I'll call up the ones that are here. We have 19, and they went through a 5-day training to become trainers. So it was not it was a lengthy training. So I have Melissa Finizio. I believe she's here. Nicole Oshenik. Jamal Hall. They're not in order? Well, that's mine right there. There he is. Rosalind Feliciano. It's going to be the last one. There it is. And then mine's in there as well, Dina Rodolfo. And then I just want to name the other people so that we acknowledge them here. And they all sent their apologies that they couldn't make it. Anna Robbins, Nicole Huber, Laura Morris, Dawn Moore, Lori West, Renee Carfagno, Pam Scagnelli, Carol Hill, Adelise DeJesus, Deneen Dupree, Noelle Patel, Stephanie Bernard, and Estrella Rowan. Thank you. I know.
We're going to take a quick picture. Let's hear it for our trainers. We're super excited about the team that got trained. We're also looking forward to working with the rest of our district. Our K-5 schools are eagerly anticipating the training that's going to be coming up soon. So again, thank you to our restorative practices trainers. This is an exceptional program, and we are looking to have great outcomes in the future. So thank you again. Let's hear it for our teachers and our administrators. Thank you, Mr. Hall, for coming out. Appreciate you, sir. Thank you. President Spinelli, we doing okay so far? Okay. Thank you. Next, we will have Mr. Hall presenting on Wayfinder, our student identification cards program. So we'll need some space for the presentation, the screen to come down. If our board members could join us over here on the floor so you can see the presentation. Thank you, Ms. Fab. Thank you. How many? So.
Can I move your binder so I can put the last one?
Yes. Okay.
You want to say something?
Nope. You got it.
Good evening, Mr. Yano and members of the board. I'm here to present on the new Wayfinder software. It's a parent app. But I want to give you a quick history of where we've been and where we're heading, and it kind of all comes together. March of 2021, we purchased new routing software. September of 2021, the board inquired about RFID, a card system, which is a swipe system for students for tracking. We went in deeply into that. We did an RFP in December of 21 for an all-in-one transportation app, which was the industry standard at the time. February of 22, we awarded a bid with TransFinder for the all-in-one app. January of 22 through July of 22, we did a full conversion of our old software, which was VersaTrans, and moved into TransFinder. I was out most of that time. Dana Blakely and Abigail Torrado Camaro dug into that and got it done. And it's worked out very nicely from that point. I came back in August. In September, we implemented StopFinder. StopFinder is the parent app part of this whole thing. So in September 23, we started to get that rolling. We also started discussions in September of 23 of Wayfinder implementation, which had a lot to go as far as student cards and student data and so forth, pictures and all that kind of stuff. So there's a lot of things that went into that. So at this time, we launched StopFinder with Durand School and Delago Preschool, East and West. It was actually during parent-teacher conferences, and we sat with parents, went through, set the apps up on their phones, and it's been working out pretty nicely. So from that point, we put together packets of a PowerPoint and some other information. We sent it out to every preschool, we sent it to every elementary school, and we've been getting dribs and drabs of parents wanting to be invited to set up the app on their phones and their devices. What is Wayfinder? Wayfinder is an all-in-one app that works directly with the StopFinder app on your phone. It has RFID student card tracking, it has a photo, and manual bus entry. Basically meaning that as a driver, when I roll up to a bus stop, the Wayfinder app is going to tell me who gets on there, and it's going to have a picture who's supposed to get on there. Kids get on with their RFID cards, they scan themselves on. If they don't have a card, the driver can manually enter them and put them on the bus. This app is going to be used for attendance and also for, hopefully we don't ever need this, but for contact tracing. The Wayfinder app provides turn-by-turn navigation for the bus driver. It helps us with up to the minute route updates, and it works hand in hand with the StopFinder app. So Wayfinder and StopFinder are kind of working together. Also a part of this is it's self-service for drivers. Drivers can log on and get their route updates. They can do their own bus substitutions. If I'm a driver, bus number 5 today, and the garage gives me a substitute bus, I can make my own substitution in the software. And when I come up to a stop, the parent's going to get an alert that I'm not in bus number 5 or whatever, I'm in a new bus. StopFinder also has a notification. Blackboard messaging is becoming obsolete, so to speak. This has up-to-the-minute notifications, such as a text. We can send messages out to parents, and they're going to get them right away. As it stands now with Blackboard, we put messages in, they go into a queue, and then they come shooting out later on. There's a lot of situations where kids are walking in the house and their Blackboard message comes through. So with the push notifications, that's not going to happen. Bus location geo alerts on your phone, where in that app you're going to set up either where your home is or where the school is, and when the bus breaks that line, the parent's going to get an alert that either the bus is 1,000 feet from their home, or it's just reached the school, or is leaving the school. Also, with the StopFinder app, working through Wayfinder, you're going to get an entry and an exit alert on your phone through the app that your child got on or got off and where. The continued timeline, December 22, we ordered new cards. As of right now, we have everything that we need. All cards are on hand. These cards are going to work also with food service. We tested 6 cards with Mr. Patel about a week or so ago. The cards are working very nicely, so it's going to be dual purpose. With this upgrade, we had to install tablets in every school bus. The installation is completed. With this installation, we have the Wayfinder app and we have the Zonar app, which is a pre-trip inspection, and also the parent app. So the training for the pre-trip inspection has been completed. Every driver has gone through that. We are heading toward training for Wayfinder. We're going to begin our training for Wayfinder on April 24th, and we're going to train our trainers, and then we'll connect with our drivers and get them trained on this. We're hoping to be able to roll this out late May, early June, where the card systems will be working. That's a picture of our card. Every student in the district will have that card. That's all I have for you. Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Hall and team, for your support and all the work that we're putting together and keeping our kids safe every day on the road, and then giving parents a way to see where their students are when they're getting on and off their bus. At this time, if we can have the design team come on up here and join me for the Portrait of a Graduate presentation. We are super excited today to officially unveil our Portrait of a Graduate project. I know many of our board members are as excited about this as I am, so I know the design team here is really ready to go and give you an excellent presentation. So the introduction to this presentation really is all about, what does it mean to be a graduate from the Vineland Public Schools? How do we define what our programs will accomplish for our students? We need to understand what we want our little babies. We have 3-year-olds right now in school. What will the world look like when they graduate, and how will we prepare them for a future economy that we don't even know what it looks like and how it exists? So we are really excited, and I'm going to give you just a little bit more background about how this Portrait of a Graduate is going to set us up for the next step. Portrait of a Graduate is a process that gives us a collective vision that helps us articulate, what we want for our students, the community's goals and aspirations for our students. It's also the first step in framing this new vision for our community. The design team included teachers, parents, community members, students, and also board members. And what did it do? This process led to the development of competencies, knowledge, skills, abilities, and behaviors that contribute to a successful individual. We will highlight those competencies for you today in a few moments. But those competencies, when you hear them, you're going to need to start memorizing them, because they're going to be part of all of everything that we do in the district, the fabric of our community, because it will also lead into the development of a strategic plan. Our strategic plan that will come in the future will be based on this Portrait of a Graduate, what we wish our students to be able to achieve, do, learn, live when they leave the Vineland Public Schools.
So I want to go into a little more in depth of how we got to our 6 competencies, which will be unveiled shortly. The process took place over 4 months of our design team. We had approximately 50 or so people at every meeting, so it was a really good representation of the community as a whole. Our first meeting, we took an in-depth look at 4 critical areas affecting our children, which are also known as landscape shifts. These would be things like going from completely manual labor to automated labor, farming to machinery, and just a lot of different ways that technology and the overall job landscape has shifted in the last maybe 100 years. In meeting 2, we focused on competencies. There were approximately, I think, 30 of them overall. And we wanted to narrow down what competencies would be most relevant to our students. In addition to looking at those competencies, we also wanted to see how they would fit into a big picture for the project as a whole.
Meeting 3, we unveiled the top 6 competencies, which you'll see in a moment, and began discussions on the visual. The visual is behind me here, and you'll see a larger version of that at the end of the presentation. And meeting 4, we discussed the portrait visual. It was unveiled, and we talked about the next steps. So every piece in the process was thoroughly discussed. Every meeting was a few hours long. We went through each piece bit by bit as a group. It was led by a trainer from Battelle for Kids. They walked us through each step, and we were then able to break into smaller groups and discuss it on a more individual level before sharing all of our viewpoints and combining it into one vision. So here you will see these 6 competencies that we were able to select: communication, empathy, adaptability, critical thinking, perseverance, and responsibility. So as Mr. Yano said, these 6 traits, these 6 competencies will be embedded into our curriculum, into our character education. That will be discussed more also. But these 6 traits are what we want all of our students from pre-K through our seniors, our graduating seniors, to embody, to carry throughout their school year, and then hopefully take with them into the workforce and into their lives after high school. So we will begin our competence.
Okay, good evening, everyone. This evening I will be discussing 2 competencies. The first one is communication, and the second one is empathy. We all know that communication is an essential skill for all. It is our goal that students will learn how to articulate their thoughts and ideas effectively, listen effectively, and learn to use communication for a range of purposes and audiences. The next competency is empathy. We want all students to be able to demonstrate awareness, sensitivity, and respect for others' feelings, thoughts, and experiences. Barack Obama said, "Empathy is the quality of character that can change the world." And next is Mr. Fry, and he will be sharing adaptability.
Hello, everyone. Thank you, Mr. Marchi. Competency 3 is adaptability. The key components of adaptability are for students to be able to work effectively in a changing environment and demonstrate the agility necessary to respond to that environment. Adaptability allows students to demonstrate the flexibility necessary to work together to balance different viewpoints and reach a workable solution. Competency 4 is critical thinking. Critical thinking prepares students for the big picture and provides resources to propose solutions that are mindful of the greater good. Critical thinking skills allow students to consistently improve their ability to analyze and develop rational and informed evidence to support conclusions. And next, Mr. Dubois will take care of perseverance. Thank you, sir.
So I have the final 2 competencies, perseverance and responsibility. Perseverance is the determination to proceed despite facing difficulties and accepting that failures will occur, but having fortitude to keep moving forward. I specifically requested to do this slide because in math we have obviously the student learning standards, but we also have standards for mathematical practice, and the first one is to teach our students to make sense of problems and to persevere in solving them. And so what we try to do through our math curriculum is to teach our students to develop a solution pathway, but also be willing to change course when they need to if they experience failure at that point. And the final competency is responsibility. It's about being honest and caring in our interactions and keeping our commitments and recognizing how our actions affect others in our community. I tried to sum this up with a quote from Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. when he said, "The time is always right to do what is right."
So good evening. Our work that we did with Portrait of a Graduate is something that I think will really help us as we get together as a district and a community to develop our strategic plan. This living document is one that we're working under now, and each 5 years we develop a new one to communicate the school district's goals and priorities and what we need to achieve those goals. Metrics used to measure the progress, and it is both for operations and academics. So some of the things that you just saw in the portrait process will help us to frame that vision as we move forward in the district and implement a new strategic plan.
All right, so we recognize that there was a lot of work and time and energy invested into this process of developing this portrait of a graduate. So the design team recognized that it's important to come up with strategies to implement it throughout the district. So the goal is to roll out this district-wide. We want to make sure that it's promoted, that families are aware of it. We want to make sure that they understand what the portrait of a graduate process was, what we intend to get as a result of it, and certainly we want it to be something that becomes embedded and incorporated within our schools. As you can see behind me, again, we have a visual along with the competencies that we hope to see, again, become something that is within all of our school hallways and becomes part of that kind of everyday vocabulary of what we want our students to achieve here at Vineland Public Schools.
So there is the final image. We have our competencies. We are absolutely excited about the process that we went through. We had about 30 to 40 participants in our sessions, great conversations, retired educators, community members, people who just love our students, our teachers, our administrators. We had an amazing team that came together to put together this project. So we are really excited about it, and I want to thank the board because without your support and approving our work with Battelle for Kids, we would not be able to have accomplished this. This sets the foundation for the next steps as we get ready to launch our strategic planning. So you will see this image and all of our letterhead. You're going to see it advertised. We're going to update our website, and we will ask you to help us memorize those core competencies: empathy, adaptability, perseverance, responsibility, communication, and critical thinking. Not only are those competencies important for our students, but us also as leaders and educators in our school system, those are all important to all of us as well. So thank you for your attention this evening. Any questions? Yes, sir. We have a meeting set up in a couple weeks, I believe. We are going to talk about the rollout. Some schools already jumped into this process, talking about how we're going to embed it at the high school in their character ed program. We've talked about how we will ask teachers to kind of identify the competencies within the curriculum. There's a lot of really cool opportunities here. Thank you for the question. Good. All right. Thank you. We're going to make our way back up to the stage. Good stuff, guys. Thank you. Special thank you to the design team. Let's hear for our design team. They did amazing work, and for volunteering and for participating in all those sessions. Good work.
Thank you, everyone. Great information. Moving on to our HIB report. Any questions or comments? Seeing none. Any questions or comments on the minutes? March 8th, 2023, combined meeting. March 8th, 2023, executive session. March 15th, 2023, special budget meeting. Questions or comments? Seeing none. Do I have a motion?
So moved. Second.
Roll call, please.
Ms. Fabry?
Yes to all, abstain to the minutes for March 8th, combined meeting and executive session.
Mr. Fiocchi?
Yes.
Mr. Holmes?
Yes.
Mr. Rivera?
Yes.
Mr. Sabrana?
Yes.
Mrs. Codispoti?
Yes.
Mr. Silva?
Yes.
Ms. Spinelli?
Yes to all but abstain from both March meetings, combined meeting and executive session.
Thank you. Motion carries.
Moving on to committee reports. Do we have any committee reports this evening? Ms. Codispoti?
First, I'm going to talk about preschool. 2023 Little Folks event is scheduled for May 5th from 5 to 7 at Delago East, which is located at Johnstone School. This is really a cute event, and it showcases our preschoolers. Preschool registration has started. I'm hoping that the flyers are being posted to our social media and website in both Spanish and English. We had an ad hoc security meeting on April 3rd. In attendance was President Spinelli, Nick Fiocchi, Alex Silva, Superintendent Yano, Assistant Superintendent Sneathen, Paul Farnaccio, Director Provenzano, Scott Mustarell, and we had three principals, one from elementary, middle, and high school. We had Mrs. Speakman, Mr. Bermudez, and Mr. Adams. We met with everybody to discuss security issues in all of our schools. We asked the principals how they felt and what were some concerns and suggestions and ways to improve. And the committee just discussed ways that we could improve security in light of the recent events. That's all.
Mr. Rivera?
The Facilities Committee met on March 30th at 4:30 p.m. via Google Meet. In attendance were Mrs. Codispoti, Mr. Sabrana, Mr. Mustarell, Ms. Spinelli, Mr. Farinaccio, and myself. We discussed several ongoing construction projects tied to ESSER money. We have several projects in the works, including Dan Barcy and Winslow School. Phase 2 at Winslow School has already been reviewed and covered. We also reviewed the ESSER 2 Windows project at Dan Barcy. Dan Barcy Windows remained delayed. Alyssa's Law was discussed in that project moving forward. We also are ongoing on our district-wide camera project, which is starting, and we're starting to put cameras on all the outside of the buildings as of now. Phase 2 is being planned and is being designed and engineered. The Rossi Roof project is going to be scheduled for summer of 2023. The fire alarm technology also was discussed. We're having some issues with fiber optic lines, and that has to be straightened out before we can move forward. We also have a project that's going to be starting at Dan Barcy School a couple of weeks earlier than anticipated on May the 22nd. Several bids have gone out for different projects, and we're still waiting on those. And we also have Johnstone modifications for pre-K are in the works, and all of this is ongoing according to the ESSER funds that we receive. And that is all. Thank you.
Mr. Holmes?
Transportation Committee met on Tuesday, March 28th, 5 o'clock p.m. In attendance were Mr. Mustarell, Ms. Fabry, Mr. Rivera, Mr. Hall, Ms. Blakely, and Ms. Camara. Discussed was driver recap. We have 140 drivers budgeted, 136 route packages, 134 filled positions, 18 subs, 6 drivers in training, and 1 waiting for driver's test. We discussed driver absences. Average in the morning for February was 18.7. Average in the afternoon for February was 21.5. We discussed Student Finder, Wayfinder, the demography transportation study has begun. Team concept continues. The employee evaluations are coming in soon, and student registration is in progress for next year.
Thank you. Public meeting report by Board Solicitor.
Nothing for public session.
We don't have any student representation tonight. Moving on to public comment on agenda items, please limit yourself to 3 minutes. Do we have any yellow slips? Seeing none. Motions and resolutions. Superintendent recommendations for discussion and approval by the board. Number 1, consent agenda.
Requesting discussion and approval of personnel items 1.1, which is listed on our agenda, retirements, resignations, student subs, extracurricular activities, extracurricular summer, and 1.2, approval of the appointment of staff of the federal program salaries and funding percentages for 22-23 school year.
Any questions or comments? Seeing none, do I have a motion?
So moved.
Second.
Roll call, please.
Ms. Fabry?
Yes.
Mr. Fiocchi?
Yes.
Mr. Holmes?
Yes.
Mr. Rivera?
Yes.
Mr. Sabrana?
Yes.
Mr. Silva?
Yes to all that abstain from employee number 7606.
Thank you. Mrs. Cosbati?
Yes.
Ms. Spinelli?
Yes.
Motion carries.
Requesting discussion and approval of procedure and operations items 2.1, trips and district travel, 2.2, revised organizational chart, 2.3, 2023-2024 district calendar, 2.4, first reading of the following policy, Policy 8454, 2.5, approval of the second reading of the policies noted on the agenda, and 2.6, approval authorizing the board secretary to enter into an affiliation agreement with Thomas Jefferson University for the 22-23 school year.
Questions or comments?
I have a comment. I'm going to preface my comments by saying I agree there are problems and changes needed in the district. However, I'm wrestling with this organizational chart as a whole and the fact that it's been changed several times in the past few days. I understand this is not a budget meeting. However, I believe this chart/position coincides with the budget process. I can honestly say that having voted no for a 6% tax increase, I cannot justify how I can vote yes to the additional high-level position being added to the organizational chart. When reviewing this new position, it will be reoccurring, and that's something that was instilled in us over many years not to do, and also a position that has been given multiple duties, with many of these duties coming from 2 other highly paid central positions. It appears from the charts, with those duties being taken from the other positions and given to the new position, the other 2 positions may have a decrease in duties, but will continue the same pay scale. It would be hypocritical of me to vote yes for adding this new position, since voting no on the increase without seeing the line item budget, which could show many things such as cuts, something being eliminated, something being added. With that being said, I just wanted to share my reasoning for my vote involving the organizational chart, and thanks for listening.
Any other questions or comments? Seeing none. Do I have?
Go ahead, John.
On the organizational chart, I cannot support it at this time. There have been some significant revisions in the document, one as late as yesterday. For that reason alone, I believe a delay for further review and perhaps some greater transparency would be in order. Why rush it? Beyond that, there are some new administrative positions that, in my opinion, pose future budgeting challenges that could compromise classroom resources. Thank you.
Thank you. Any additional comments? Seeing none. Do I have a motion?
So moved.
Roll call, please.
Ms. Fabry?
Yes.
Mr. Fiocchi?
Yes.
Mr. Holmes?
Yes.
Mr. Rivera?
Yes.
Mr. Sabrana?
No.
Mr. Silva?
Yes.
Mrs. Cotespoti?
Yes to all, no to 2.2.
Perhaps Mr. Sabrana should be permitted to vote the same way if his objection is only to 2.2.
Mr. Sabrana, do you wish to change your vote?
Yes to everything except the item for the organizational chart. I believe that was 2.2.
Thank you. Mrs. Spinelli?
Yes.
Motion carries.
Requesting discussion and approval of finance items. 4.1, approval of budgetary transfers for general school-based and grants for February 2023. 4.2, requesting approval of the treasurer report and secretary's report that are in agreement for the month ending February 2023. 4.3, approval and acceptance of the 21-22 audit, including the comprehensive annual financial report. 4.4, approval of the placement of special education students.
Is that mic on down there? Sounds like it's coming from down there.
I don't know, we're getting some feedback. 4.5, approval of the tuition rates for the 23-24 school year. 4.6, approval to submit the following grant applications: New Jersey Youth Corps and Atlantic Care Heart Heroes AED grant. 4.7, approval of the acceptance of the following grant as provided and on file with the Secretary of the Board, NSLP Equipment Assistance Grant. 4.8, approval to submit and accept the following grant as provided and on file with the Secretary of the Board, the Climate Awareness Grant in the amount of $76.59. 4.9, approval of the 2023 Summer Food Service Program grant application.
Questions or concerns? Seeing none, do I have a motion?
So moved.
Roll call, please.
Ms. Fabry?
Yes.
Mr. Fiocchi?
Yes.
Mr. Holmes?
Yes.
Mr. Rivera?
Yes.
Mr. Sabrana?
Yes.
Mr. Silva?
Yes.
Mrs. Codispoti? Ms. Spinelli?
Yes.
Motion carries.
Requesting discussion and approval of item 4.10, approval of the submission of the FY 2023 Elementary and Secondary Education Act application amendment as noted on our agenda. 4.11, approval of the submission of the Coronavirus Response and Supplemental Appropriations Act application amendment as noted on our agenda. 4.12, approval of the submission of the American Rescue Plan Act application amendment to the State of New Jersey as noted on our agenda. 4.13, approval of professional development on July 11th, 2023 and July 12th, 2023 titled Restorative Practices for Educators in the amount of $10,405 funded by ESSER funds. 4.14, approval of a program teaching bilingual science at Devon High School remotely via proximity learning. 4.15, approval of the USTAT participation agreement of the federally funded Cumberland County Identify, Notify, and Care program between the Cumberland County Prosecutor's Office and Vineland Public Schools. 4.16, approval of a tuition contract between the Salem County Vocational School District and the City of Vineland Board of Education. 4.17, approval of awarding the following contracts for alternate counsel. Alternate counsel, Capehart Scatcherd, A, and B, Parker McKay. 4.18, approval of acknowledgement that no bids were received on Friday, March 10th, 2023 at 10 a.m. for bid number 042324, communications van conversion. The district has re-advertised these services pursuant to NJSA 18A. 4.19, approval of an acknowledgement that no bids were received on Thursday, March 30th, 2023 at 10 a.m. for bid 072324, communications van conversion. The district will negotiate these services pursuant to NJSA 18A, 18A5. 4.20, approval of a resolution awarding a contract to Diversified Vehicle Services for communications van conversion at a cost of $110,000, district funded.
Questions or comments? Seeing none, do I have a motion?
So moved.
Roll call, please.
Ms. Fabry?
Yes.
Mr. Fiocchi?
Yes.
Mr. Holmes?
Yes.
Mr. Rivera.
Yes.
Mr. Sabrana.
Yes, and an enthusiastic yes on the van.
Mr. Silva.
Yes.
Mrs. Cottospati.
Yes.
Ms. Spinelli.
Yes, and congratulations, Mr. DeSanto. We haven't gotten there yet. Sorry.
Wait for it. Okay. Requesting discussion and approval. Item 4.21, approval of a professional services renewal contract to Manders Marigi, Architect of Record. 4.22, approval professional services renewal contract, Blaney, Donahue, and Weinberg. 4.23, approval of a professional services renewal contract to Gruccio Pepper DeSanto. 4.24, approval of year 2 renewal of the following contracts, including a 1.5% increase. Alternative High School Specialized Education Services Incorporated. 4.25, approval of year 2 renewal for the following contracts as the current contract price with an option to renew for 1-year term. ESS, substitute staffing, athletic field maintenance, Dobson Turf, flooring services, Rose Floor Covering, fuel services, Riggins Fuel, online education services, Eduseer, digital assessment and data analysis, advanced assessment systems, IT services, pro computer services. 4.26, approval of year 3 renewal for the following contracts at the current contract price. Concrete and masonry services, Fabry Builders, roofing services, Kowalski Roofing. Approval of year 3 renewal for the following contracts, including a 1.5% increase. HVAC services, Falaska Mechanical. Plumbing services, Falaska Mechanical. Electrical services, Leeway Electrical. Approval of an agreement with IntelliPeer Atmosphere for telecommunication services for a 3-year term at $57,600 annually. 4.29, approval of the 22-23 joint transportation agreement between Cumberland Regional Board of Ed and the City of Vineland. 4.30, approval of the settlement agreement between the City of Vineland Board of Education and the employee whose name is on file with the board secretary.
Questions or comments? Seeing none, do I have a motion?
So moved.
Roll call, please.
Ms. Fabry.
Yes to all, abstain from 4.26.
Mr. Fiocchi.
Yes to all, abstain on the following: 4.22, 4.23, 4.25G, 4.26A.
4.22, 4.23.
4.25G.
B.
G.
And
4.26A.
thank you. Mr. Holmes?
Yes.
Thank you. Mr. Rivera?
Yes on all except 4.25G, no.
Mr. Sabrana?
Yes.
Mr. Silva?
Yes.
Mrs. Cottospati?
Yes.
Ms. Spinelli?
Yes.
Motion carries.
Regular agenda items, none. Congratulations, Mr. DeSanto.
Thank you, Ms. Spinelli, and thank you, board members. I wouldn't know where else to go on Wednesday night.
And this is been serving for how many years? How many years?
35.
Congrats again, Bob. Okay, moving on. Number 12, proposed items for review or discussion or adoption by board members. Policy request for school naming of the VHS building Board Policy 7250 under Schools and Facility Names. Do we have a motion? Seeing none. Approval of bills paid for February 2023. Do I have a motion? Roll call, please. Or no, I don't need a roll. Yes, I do. Got it. Roll call, please.
Ms. Acosta? Ms. Fabry?
Yes.
Mr. Fiocchi? Mr. Holmes?
Yes.
Mr. Rivera?
Yes.
Mrs. Sabrana?
Yes.
Mr. Silva?
Yes.
Mrs. Cataspati? Ms. Spinelli?
Yes.
Motion carries.
Emergent items with prior approval, seeing none. Opportunities for public to address the board, and please limit yourself for 3 minutes. Seeing none. Any old business this evening? None. New business this evening? None. Board member remarks, please limit yourself to 5 minutes each, and starting with Mr. Rivera.
Good evening, everyone. Thank you to the Memorial School kids that came out and saluted and helped us with the flag salute. Congratulations to all the participants in the Portrait of a Graduate project. Looking forward to how this is going to work in our district and how, something new that we can implement and see how we can affect our district in a positive way, and I am pretty confident that's going to happen. It's almost the end of the year, and we're looking forward to great things coming up and the events that we all look forward to attending. Parents continue to be part of your children's education, continue to be involved. Don't ever say that you're not part of it, because you are. Everybody enjoy the rest of this beautiful day, and hopefully we get more of this weather than not. Thank you and have a good evening.
Thank you. Mr. Silva.
Yes, thanks to the Memorial students for the flag salute. The Portrait of the Graduate, I'd like to thank everyone for all the work you guys inputted in that project, and I am looking forward to seeing the difference in our schools. And lastly, I would like to congratulate the 2 JAG students from Vineland High School who made history after being named the first president, Connor Harris, and first parliamentarian, Zaire Battle, for the New Jersey chapter. Thank you.
Thanks for that. Mr. Sabrana, I didn't forget about you.
Thank you. Thank you to our flag saluters from Memorial, and also for the presentations on the agenda tonight. Congratulations, Mr. DeSanto. There is no way to properly put a value on all the years of your experience at this table. Just know that it's appreciated. And want to wish a peaceful and pleasant holiday to our students and our employees. I look forward to be back in my seat at the table for the special meeting on April 24th, and God willing, for the rest of 2023.
Thank you. Mr. Fiocchi.
Nothing at this time.
Mr. Holmes.
Yes. Real quick. When I ran last time, my slogan for the Board of Ed was moving forward. And as we've witnessed tonight, our superintendent and his team are committed to doing just that through our presentation of Portrait of a Graduate, which was relevant, and it couldn't be at a better time post-COVID. Also, the organizational chart, which has been discussed since, I think, November or December, and each of our board members have had time to ask questions and seek clarification. So I'm very proud of both of these things tonight, the Portrait of a Graduate and the organizational chart that we voted on this evening. We have to remain relevant during these times. Happy Easter, and hope you all have a great evening. Thanks.
Ms. Fabry.
Nothing at this time.
Ms. Cataspati.
Thank you, Mr. Silva, for speaking about the JAG students. I didn't realize that, so congratulations to our JAG students.
Thank you to Memorial Middle School. Congratulations to our 8th grade dialogue. I had the opportunity to be there with Superintendent Yano and our middle school principal. That was an awesome event. Those students, you wouldn't know they were 8th graders. They were great. I attended the junior chef competition. I don't even know how many it's been now. Congratulations to the winners, to everyone who participated. There are some really good recipes, so I can't wait for next year. I'd like to wish everybody a happy Easter and a very safe and happy spring break.
Thank you. Mr. Yano.
Yes, just a few items. We began March with Read Across America activities. Many of our board members were guest readers. It was an awesome event. Our district does an amazing job inspiring students to read and also connecting with the community to bring in guest readers. It was a wonderful, wonderful day. Also want to congratulate the VHS Cap and Dagger Club. The musical was amazing, hilarious. I didn't know what I was in for, but I was laughing along the whole way. And I was just frightened that they might ask me to get up on stage to be one of those guest performers. I would have passed out if they had pulled me in there. Many of our school district employees and students celebrated Pi Day on March 14th. Kids, teachers, tons of activities related to math. Also, future chef Leonardo Hernandez from Duran School. Fruit sushi, that was the winning dish. Very exciting dish. Not something that I would have made, but sure was delicious. We also have new inductees to the Vineland High School Historical Committee. Vicki Yeager, Lisa Fagan, Eileen Bosco, Frank Carpinetti. We acknowledge them for the dedication and years of service to our students. And thank you to the Vineland High School Historical Committee for conducting the induction. The elementary art show, no one told me what to expect. It was amazing. Hundreds and hundreds of staff members, family members and students and our staff members were in attendance that evening. Incredible. Lines down the street, lined up. You would have thought we were giving away free something in here, but it was amazing. It was just all about art. Great, work by our art teachers who were here present that evening, and also to a big shout out to Ross Stanger for the work that he did in organizing the event. I've in all my years of education, I've never seen anything like that for an art show, and I know our middle school show is coming up soon. We also had a wonderful Community Partnership Action Committee meeting. Our guest speaker was Matthew Rudd from the prosecutor's office. He spoke about a lot of the data from the community on violence and violence prevention. Following that presentation, we had Dina and a couple of her trainers come out and talk about restorative practices. We did a simulation where our participants got to simulate a restorative circle. And it was really, really powerful. The opportunities that will be afforded to our students and our staff members through the use of these strategies are incredible. And it's directly in line with the work that's happening in Cumberland County around violence prevention strategies. How are we helping our communities reduce the violence that we see in our schools at times, in our communities, in the neighborhoods? And this is one strategy. Vineland Public Schools is at the forefront. We have certified trainers, which we saw tonight, 19 of them. I don't think there's any district in Cumberland County and maybe in South Jersey that has that number of trainers, right, Dina? So we are exceptional, and I know folks are talking about the work that we're doing because I'm being asked by the other superintendents about how we are funding it and how we will roll this out. So great work. Special thank you to Dina. She seems to be in the middle of quite a few of our projects around violence prevention, working with her guidance counselors, social workers, and all of our restorative practice trainers. So thank you, Dina, for all the work that you do. And that's it for me.
Thank you. Thank you to all of our educational leaders who have been part of the numerous projects that our district is working on that we highlighted tonight. And the organizational chart is something that I have, been really picking apart and comparing to other districts. And some of the last minute changes are because of me, because I was consistently sending emails and asking questions just to make sure that the final product was something that I could support. So I do look forward to being part of this new way that we are going to educate our students and be part of embracing our teachers and giving them the additional support that they need in the classroom. So that's all that I have for this evening. And with that, we are going to go into our second set of executive sessions.
Motion.
Motion?
No, so moved.
All in favor?
Aye.